What's up, guys, and welcome to Gamescript. We're taking a look at the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Dallas Cowboys, and the Cowboys have become the Coors Field of NFL. How will the Raiders handle it? We'll dig into it right after this. What's up, guys? Simon Edwards at PumaCom here with Heat Seeker Sports, and you're watching Gamescript. We're looking at Monday Night Football between the Dallas Cowboys at the Las Vegas Raiders. We got a 50.5-point total, and we got the Cowboys as 3.5-point favorites at this one on the road. And Dallas has jokingly been kind of referred to as the Coors Field team of the NFL, even when they're not playing at home. Like Dallas itself has become basically any team's opportunity for an offensive explosion, and the Raiders definitely need something like that. They do have weapons that could be exploitable against this Dallas defense, and we can dig into that in a second. Before I do that, make sure to hit the like button. I'm looking for 70 likes to put my favorite picks in the comment section once we get closer to lock, usually about an hour before lock, once the inactives come in. And also, if you get to 100 likes, I'm going to put my write-up of the game in the comment section once we get closer to lock. So the write-ups have been pretty good. I had a good game last night with the Eagles versus the Lions. I got most of that correct. I did not get the captain aspect right on the show, although I did say that Jameson Williams was one of my favorite plays on the slate, or if not my favorite play on the slate. I just built on the show with Dallas Goedert and the captain, and Dallas Goedert ended up doing nothing. So lineups could still cash, though, with Goddard. I had a couple lineups that ended up cashing if you got the rest of the team right. So it's not a complete waste, but you needed Jameson Williams. And for some reason, I didn't build it on the show, even though he was one of my favorite plays. So maybe we would have got there with the winning lineup because I had all the other plays pretty much right in that lineup, except for Goddard and needing the kicker and the defense of the Eagles. So we'll move on. We'll move on to this game. It should be another fun game for us. Hit the subscribe button. I'm looking for 2,300 subscribers. I'm on my way to getting there. And also, you want to subscribe because I have the secret weapon that's coming out. It's going to be access for my YouTube subscribers to a free beta preview of my new website. It's going to be a news-based website. A lot more detailed, a lot more in-depth than some of these other news aggregate sites. You're going to get a lot more nuggets to work with than a lot of these sites, and that's going to help out with opportunities like Sean Tucker, who I talked about on my show last night or yesterday for the Sunday main slate. Tucker, of course, ends up going off for 37 points at less than 1% of ownership on DraftKings contests. So that ended up being a huge hit. Unfortunately, with the main slate, that was the only huge hit because everything else with the Sam Darnold stacks ended up cratering. And Josh Jacobs, of course, got injured in like the first quarter of his game. So ended up being a couple of landmines there, unfortunately. But hopefully, people got on with the Sean Tucker call yesterday and made some money with it. So let's head over to look at this slate. As you can see, I've got a underdog promo on my screen. Please take advantage of that. Use the promo code SEEK over on Underdog. You're going to play $5. You're going to get $100 in bonus cash, not 50 like it says on the screen there. Also, bet MGM. Use the promo code HEATER1500 if you open up an account at BetMGM, and you're going to get up to $1,500 for risk-free first bet. So if you bet $200, they're going to give you $100 or $200 in free bets to make up for it if you lose your bet. So let's take a look at first the injuries. Dallas Cowboys depth chart we'll take a look at first. I use ESPN's depth chart pages for this. You can see that missing a couple of the running backs. Miles Sanders out. Jaden Blue could be interesting this week. Javonte Williams, you know, the lead back for us, but Jaden Blue taking on a backup role. You know, he could be cheap in this. I haven't looked at the prices yet, but we'll take a look at him when we're going through the lineup there. John Stevens Jr. for the tight end is the only tight end that doesn't really do anything. As far as the rest of it, just some damage on the offensive line. Trevor Keegan is out. Rob Jones is on IR, and Cornelius is questionable. So one of the important offseason moves, or not offseason, but the before the trade deadline moves that Dallas made was bringing Quinnen Williams in from the Jets, and he's going to be a massive boost to their run defense. So we're going to want to keep that in mind for if we're considering Ashton Genty this week. They just picked up Quinnen Williams, who should be a massive boost to that Dallas run defense, which previously had been giving up 29.7 DraftKings points a game to running backs. So, you know, not as tempting of a matchup for running backs with the addition of Quinnen Williams. We're losing Solomon Thomas is out. Perry and Winfrey, Peyton Turner, both out. Jack Sanborn is out. A lot of banged up defense here. Malik Hooker is on IR. Trayvon Diggs is still on IR. And then we're losing Thomas and Butler, and Elijah Clark is questionable. So a lot of damage to the defense here for Dallas. But in addition, and Quinnen Williams, which is going to help out with the run defense primarily there. Let's take a look at the Raiders. The Raiders are missing Colton Miller on the left tackle, Jackson Powers Johnson on the right guard, and Brendan Jackson on the linebacker core. So we're missing a few people, but not nearly the type of damage that we saw with the Cowboys. Let's see. Tyler Lockett joined the team recently, and inexplicably, he's getting more touches than, or more snaps than Deontay Thornton, who's this big, fast rookie that they drafted in the 2025 draft. So he has not been getting a lot of opportunity, and then they brought in Tyler Lockett rather than give their younger guys opportunity like Jack Betch and Deontay Thornton. So, it's Pete Carroll's the former coach of Tyler Lockett, and Geno Smith is his former quarterback. And even though Tyler Lockett showed that he was complete dust over on Tennessee, they brought him in anyways. And not only did they bring him in, but they're giving him the this big workload as well, or at least opportunity share. So let's move over to the DraftKings contest. You know what? Like, first, before we do that, let's go to Fantasy Pros and look at that snap share that we're seeing out of Tyler Lockett, just to kind of illustrate it to you. I'm going to go to Las Vegas. Lockett. Here we go. 57% snap count last week. That's pretty big. Let's go and look over at the rest of the team. Looking at Las Vegas, we saw Trey Tucker with 100% snap count. Besh, not really sure how to pronounce his name, at 23%. Bachman at 3%. Deontay Thornton at 62%. He was at 86 right before the bye, and then Tyler Lockett seems to have siphoned up some of those snaps. And other than that, nothing too interesting. Besh was also at 63% before the bye, and he's down to 23%. So he was the biggest one hit by Tyler Lockett's addition. With Besh, I heard that in practice, he must have been doing some things in practice or whatever that were just not impressive for him not to be able to win this position over once they got rid of Jacoby Myers. It's going now instead to a dusty Tyler Lockett, but still, that opportunity could have gone around to some of their younger players, and they're choosing to give it to Tyler Lockett. So let's break down this matchup. Looking at CeeDee Lamb, Lamb 15 and 14 points in the last couple weeks. We got a 25 point performance right when he got back from his injury, but he's kind of muted for his price. I'd expect more DraftKings points out of him, but he's facing off against Denver and Arizona. Both have very good defenses. So CeeDee Lamb will be in play against the Raiders, who are giving up. They're giving up 21.2 DraftKings points a game to the wideout position, and they're giving up 15.1 to the slot. CeeDee Lamb, primarily a slot receiver, but he runs enough out wide. But they do have a beneficial matchup out wide versus the Raiders that we can get into in a minute. I like Pickens a lot, who's their primary out wide receiver. With Dak Prescott, we're looking at a couple weeks recently where he's kind of fallen off the horse there, but he's capable of putting up a decent amount of points. He's had a bunch of weeks over 20 DraftKings points and one over 30. It's a little more difficult matchup against the Raiders. They've been pretty good defense overall. They're giving up 17.3 to the quarterback position, though. So it's a middling matchup for Dak, but this is an offense that's not afraid to sling it. So I'm not too worried about this matchup for Dak this week against the Raiders. With Ashton Genty, I'm more worried about him with that addition of Quinnen Williams. Otherwise, Dallas has been giving up 29.7 DraftKings points a game to the running back position, which is huge. Williams might knock 5 to 10 DraftKings points off of that. So, even if we saw in that 20 DraftKings point range, Ashton Genty could still be relevant for optimal lineups. So he's not completely out of the mix here, but he's going to take a serious matchup ding with the addition of Quinnen Williams. So we'll see how he's able to do. But Ashton Genty is going to be in play for us, but not a priority necessarily. Javonte Williams against the Raiders. The Raiders are giving up 25 DraftKings points a game to the running back position. So this is a good matchup for Javonte Williams. He hasn't done a whole lot recently. He got off to a hot start, couple 20 DraftKings points weeks. He had a 29-point week, almost 30. Well, actually 30 points basically. He had a 21.8, a 17.9. Javonte Williams is going to be interesting this week against Vegas, giving up those points to the running back position. But we also got Jaden Blue there with that same matchup advantage. I'm interested in both those guys, but I think I'm more interested in Dallas's pass game than I am in their running game. So, just a note on the Raiders, the most that they've allowed for rushing yards in a game so far this season has been under 100. So they haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher this season. So that's noteworthy of this defense. They're actually pretty decent defense. So we'll take that in consideration with Javonte. All right, moving on. We got George Pickens, who's my my favorite, probably my favorite play on the slate. I don't know what his ownership's going to be. We're waiting for that to come in, but if it's sub, I'd say like 8% or so, which I think he could hit, then Pickens is going to be very, very interesting as a captain, and we'll build for captain with him. I won't make that same mistake with not building for the Jameis Williams captain, even though he was one of my favorites on the slate yesterday when I recorded that show. Let's see. Note from let's see if we got a note from Rich Rebar on this. Okay, so Rebar over at Sharp Football Analysis, he does these great write-ups of these games with lots of good nuggets in them. He says that Pickens has a team-high 31% target share against cover 3 with 2.7 yards per route, and the Raiders are second in the league in the rate of cover 3 at 49%. So half their defense is cover 3, and that is what favors George Pickens, and that makes Pickens a very interesting pick for captain in this game, in a game that's tends to shoot out with the Cowboys defense being so vulnerable. So Pickens is going to be definitely in play for us this week. Skipping to Geno Smith. Geno Smith is in the matchup, one of the better matchups that he's going to get, with the Cowboys allowing 26 DraftKings points a game to the quarterback position. This is going to be about as good a matchup as he can ask for against some of these weaker matchups. So Washington, he had 26 DraftKings points, and against Jacksonville, he had 27 DraftKings points. Both those teams have been ones that we've targeted for quarterbacks, and he's set up here to have a decent game against the Raiders, or against the Cowboys. With Brock Bowers, the Cowboys are giving up 16.4 DraftKings points a game to the tight end position, so that's going to set up Brock Bowers nicely to be in play for us. So Brock Bowers, in his matchup, the Cowboys have been giving up a decent amount of points to the tight end position, and Bowers has been getting some decent usage recently. He had a dud in week 10 with only 3 targets. Don't know what happened there, because I don't think he was hurt, but when he came back from the bye, he had 46.3 DraftKings points. With Denver, they probably just put like the entire focus of the defense on Brock Bowers. Denver, being a really good defense, so that makes sense why he only had 3.7. Jacksonville, that weak team that he was targeted with. Other than that, he had not done much this season apart from week 1, but he was playing hurt for a lot of the season, and you can see he had that gap between week 4 and the bye week from when he was actually out of those games and leading into it. He was hurt for a few weeks before they finally put him on the bench for his injury. But comes back out of the bye with fresh legs or whatever, and he ends up with 46 points, and then faces that tough Denver matchup where he only had 3.7. But he's going to be in play for us. We haven't seen him have a big game since losing Jacoby Myers. I think that 46-point week was the week before they got rid of Myers. I could be wrong on that. Otherwise, then 46 points without Myers would be a huge game. Let's see. Jake Ferguson, not really interested here. Vegas has actually been pretty good against the tight end position. They've been giving up 13.7 DraftKings points a game to the tight end position, but Ferguson with CeeDee Lamb back, he's not really getting it targeted at a higher rate as we're used to with him. And then he's got Pickens as competition too, and it's just not as good a setup for him. With Trey Tucker, 100% of the snaps last week. He's kind of their deep ball threat, and the Cowboys are giving up 25 DraftKings points a game to wideouts. So Trey Tucker would be set up for us to have a decent game. Let's see. Yeah, he's primarily outside receiver. So he's only running 19% of his routes or 16% of his routes in the slot. So going to be a good setup here for Trey Tucker to, maybe be the one receiver that we target. Skipping past these backup quarterbacks, we go to Brandon Aubrey. Been pretty reliable as far as nailing his field goals. He's had multiple field goals in a lot of these games. Hasn't really equated into fantasy points necessarily, but he's capable of putting up 22 DraftKings points any week, and he's in a dome this week against the Raiders. So Aubrey will definitely be in play for us. And, keep in mind with that Raiders defense being a little better than they lead on, we could end up seeing Aubrey get a lot of field goal opportunities if that Dallas offense stalls out a bit. I'm not really sure what's going on with the kicker situation here. We got two kickers now. They brought in another guy to the practice squad to kind of compete, I guess, with Daniel Carlson potentially. So Carlson, he's missed a few field goals, looks like, this season so far, but he is capable of putting up the double-digit points. So, he's still going to be in play, or Raiders kicker will still be in play for us this week. That could end up being Greg Joseph. Joseph on the practice squad. Carlson was 12 of 16 for field goals, and he just missed a potential game-tying one in the fourth quarter last week. So not happy with Daniel Carlson. So Joseph could get an opportunity to keep an eye on inactives tomorrow or on Monday. Ryan Flournoy. Let's check out the Dallas snap counts here. Let's see. Dallas, we're looking at right before the bye, Paris Campbell 0%, Jalen Brooks 0%, Cropper 0%. We had Flournoy at 67%. That was a big bump out of his previous couple weeks. CeeDee Lamb at 88%, Jalen Tolbert at 10%, Pickens at 91%, Kavonte Turpin was down to 19%. He was as high as 60%. So maybe he's the one taking the hit for Flournoy getting these opportunities. Jalen Tolbert also taking a big dip as the season goes on. Seems like he's not clicking in that offense. So maybe they're giving the opportunity here to Flournoy. He's been pretty good. But that gives us a good idea of what we're kind of looking at here with Flournoy. He's a guy that's going to be, let's see, what's his flex price? 4,600. So he's kind of expensive, but if he's getting a decent amount of work in the offense, we're looking at 2 targets, 6 targets, 9 targets. So he's had a couple decent weeks for targets, but he could be a guy if we're looking for like a missing piece that's in that salary range. He could end up being useful for us. But let's see, Cowboys defense against the Raiders. They could be in play. We do see a couple double-digit weeks out of them against Washington and Arizona. I would lump in Vegas in this kind of range of teams. And, we could end up seeing a decent performance out of Dallas's defense against these guys. Michael Mayer, 4 targets and 7 targets the last couple weeks. So even with Brock Bowers in the lineup, he's getting a decent amount of targets. He could be in play with us. The Jacoby Myers being traded, I imagine that Mayer finds his way into more opportunity because they want to have competent pass catchers on the field, and Mayer is definitely a competent pass catcher. Raiders D, good, solid defense, but they're still capable of giving up points. We saw them give up 30 points against Jacksonville. They gave up 31 against Kansas City. They gave up 40 against Indy. Well, they've been giving up a lot of points. You see a lot, like even though that they're pretty solid against the quarterback. Like they do have a lot of weaknesses. They're solid against the running backs too, but they're giving up a lot of points overall. So they haven't been the best defense, but they're not a terrible defense. Tyler Lockett, as I mentioned, he was getting opportunity in the snap count, and equated to targets last week. He had 6 targets last week. So we see Tyler Lockett getting opportunity somehow. He's at 3,400, even though we scoff at the idea. Don't scoff at the idea of a guy getting opportunities against Dallas's defense. Dallas is giving up 11.4 DraftKings points a game to the slot. So, it's a decent matchup for slot receivers. It's a little bit middling. I prefer the outside guys, but it's a matchup that's not terrible. By the way, Brock Bowers matchup, they're giving up 16.4 DraftKings points a game to the tight end position. So that's one of the bigger weaknesses of the Dallas defense, which is pretty bad overall. So you can basically pick your poison with the Raiders team. I'd shy away from Ashton Genty, like I said, with the addition of that run stopper there. We got Jalen Tolbert. Talked about him getting a reduction in a role, it seems like. He had 12.7 DraftKings points a couple weeks ago, but Tolbert's at 2,800. Mostert, not really too interested there, but he's been getting like at least some work, so you don't need to necessarily scratch him from the player pool. I like Thornton better at 2,000 this week, and this is the matchup where we could actually see him do decent if he gets the opportunities. We've had 2 targets, 3 targets, 2 targets, 2 targets. Look at this though, no receptions. This type of shit why they bring in Tyler Lockett, because these rookies just can't catch a ball. And maybe it's Geno's not throwing a good ball, but like look at this. 0 for 2, 0 for 2, 0 for 3, 1 for 2, 2 for 4, 1 for 4, 2 for 4. I mean they probably just got desperate, even though they got rid of Jacoby Myers. But Deontay Thornton, if he can catch a ball, he could be interesting for us at 2K. Schoonmaker, let's check these. I mean, it's very thin with CeeDee Lamb and Pickens and Ferguson getting most of the work. But let's take a look at the snap counts for Dallas's tight ends, because they do have a bunch of tight ends. So we got 19% for Schoonmaker. For that, he was in that 30 range, but he took a dip right before the bye. We have Span Ford, same story basically, and then you have 13. Ferguson was at 90% before the bye. He got a massive bump before the bye. Why these other guys were taking dips. So that's kind of interesting. But Vegas is giving up, 13.7 DraftKings points a game to the tight end position. Not too interested in the tight ends on the Dallas side this week. Jaden Blue. Let's check out the snap counts for the running back position while we're taking a look at snap counts. For Dallas, we see that Williams had 87%. Blue still had 0%. Malik Davis had 7% and Lupke had 7%, but that 0% is concerning. Blue had 19 and 22 prior to that, so tough to say which direction would be best to go there. If we wanted to look for one of these backup guys as a potential salary saver for us. So, I mean, we're going to have to take a look at the inactives if we get closer to lock. But, Jaden Blue's not going to be a priority for us anyways. Besh is same kind of story here as Thornton, but he hasn't been dropping as many balls. He's 0 for 1. 2 for 2, 0 for 1, 3 for 5. So, not as bad, but he's just not earning targets. But he is at 1K. And this guy, Bachman, no targets there. Let's see. That's about it for guys I might be interested in. Albert O. He only played in week 5, but he had 8.6 DraftKings points. So Albert O is a little bit interesting, but I don't think we need to go there. And it looks like he's been inactive for most of the season anyways. I think the cheapest guy I'm looking at is Deontay Thornton here in hopes that, he would get, be able to get his act together and catch some balls. And he got Besh here too at 1K. So those are the cheap guys that I would be interested in as salary savers, dumpster dive as we call it on this show. Let's go ahead and build a lineup. I think Lamb is going to be probably the most popular captain. So let's go ahead and put Lamb in the captain spot. Let's put Prescott. And I think people are going to want to put Bowers in their lineups because he's cheap. Leaves us with 5K per guy. Maybe we get Javonte Williams in there. Basically get the whole Dallas offense covered except for Pickens. Leaves us with 2,600 per guy. If we wanted to go cheap and go with Thornton, leaves us with 3,300. We get Turpin in there. Turpin I didn't go over, but he's another one of these cheap guys that gets a lot of opportunity in Dallas's offense. He's a guy that's got a lot of speed. He could bust out a big run at any point, so he's definitely in play for us. Let's see how we can maybe do this a little bit differently with this direction. If we wanted to take out Williams and put in Aubrey instead, let's take out Thornton and let's put in Tyler Lockett, even though it's disgusting. Leaves us with 6,300. We could basically get, Flournoy or one of those kickers in. I want to get up to Trey Tucker. If I wanted to get to Trey Tucker, we could take Lockett out there. And at least as we could put in Turpin there or Tolbert. Tolbert's going to have a ton of, not going to have a ton of ownership. So that could be a differentiator there. Like any one of these guys could be the differentiator that we need in a chalkier build to get us separation from the field if one of these guys happens to catch a touchdown. So, it's good kind of a build to do a rotation on. So something to take into consideration there. If we want to do a different build where maybe the Cowboys are controlling it on the ground, let's put Javonte in there. I don't think that they will, just based on the Raiders D being pretty good. But let's put him in there anyways. Let's put Prescott and Lamb in there too for this one. And let's get Brock Bowers again as our primary kind of go-to guy there. And let's put Lockett in this one. And that leaves us with 2,500. So we're in that spot where we got like Thornton as an option or Besh. This may be a little too many Raiders. But yeah, I mean, like the Raiders do have about the best matchup that we're going to see them get here. All right, guys, reminder again, hit that like button. Give me to 70 likes so I can put my favorite picks in the comment section, and get me to 100 likes so I can put my my write-up in the comment section. Make sure to subscribe to the channel before I get into my final lineup here. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Get me to 2,300 subscribers. I appreciate the help getting to 2,200. Ultimately, I'm trying to get to 2,500 before Thanksgiving, so help me get to 2,300 first. Definitely appreciate that. And all my YouTube subscribers are going to get free access to the beta preview I got coming up of my site, which will be free for a few weeks before we turn some aspects into a paid site. And we're going to have Spread a Stare on with me at some point this week, doing a showdown. We're going to kind of preview that site hopefully this week. All right, let's go to captain. Let's put Pickens in that captain. Let's go Pickens. Let's go Prescott. And let's go with Lamb first. Let's get Bowers in there. Leaves us with 3,500 per guy. Let's see if we can get Tucker in there. Leaves us with 500. That doesn't really do. Let's swap out Lamb for Javonte. It's going to leave us with 1,700. In that situation, we could put in Blue. We could put in Betch. So we do have some options there. Pickens, not a bad captain. I like this. I like the direction there with Pickens. We can mess around and play around with the exact direction that we want to go with when we get closer to lock. But he kind of puts us in a good direction there. With Bowers being so cheap, let's put Bowers in the captain. See what that does for us. He's even cheaper than George Pickens. So let's get Pickens in this lineup. That puts us at 2,200. So at least we can get Deontay Thornton in this one, even though we already have Trey Tucker. But I guess it's a solid core with Williams, Pickens, and Prescott there, with Bowers in the mix. Let's take out Prescott. Let's put in Geno Smith in this one, since we got Tucker and Brock and the captain. That way we got Pickens and Williams on Dallas. And then we could add in, like the Tyler Lockett play, Cavante Turpin. If you wanted to go with the Raiders D, that would be an opportunity for us. And all sorts of options that we can do here. Basically, if we got Bowers in there, let's try to think about how this Bowers captain would play out. He's getting a lot of PPR. So we got Geno throwing to him. If we got Geno throwing to Bowers, he needs another guy in there to justify putting him in over Dak, if that's the direction that we go. This way I got Tucker in there as his second receiver. Even in the flex, if I got a pocket passer, I want a second receiver, because it's hard to justify putting a pocket passer in there if he's only got one receiver, even if it's in the flex. When we got Javonte Williams, like Dallas could be controlling the ball on the ground. That's why we don't see Dak in there. We got Pickens getting the splash plays. We don't have that steady, consistent pass catcher in CeeDee Lamb. And then that last piece, it could be Turpin. Maybe Turpin's getting a little bit more of that slot action. CeeDee Lamb is. Maybe the focus is on CeeDee Lamb, and Turpin is getting those slot opportunities with more like less defensive attention on him. Or we could put like Tolbert in that spot too. I would probably go more with a Dallas guy as opposed to a Raider when I've already got 3 Raiders. I don't really want to do 4-2 on the Raiders side, even though it's a great matchup for Geno Smith. Let's take out Bowers. Let's put in Tucker in that captain just to see what it would do. I don't necessarily think I'd go in that direction, but I might play around with this a little bit, like in the $15 or the whatever it is this week. What is it this week? $20. So let's put Tucker in that captain, and let's get Bowers in there too, since we got Geno. It leaves us with 4,500. I kind of like this direction a little bit better. That way we have the defense is unlocked for us. Easier to get another Dallas guy in there if we can get that Cowboys D. We could get Mayer in there if we wanted to lock it. So it leaves us with decent opportunities. But I Bowers and Pickens are going to be my favorite captains this week. They're going to be cheap options as captain. I don't know what the ownership's going to be. I imagine it's going to be pretty high on Bowers with that cheap price tag. But when we get more information tomorrow, I'll be able to put my favorite picks in the comment section. You're going to want that write-up, so give me to 100 likes because ownership's going to play a role in that, making those decisions even clearer than they are now. So hit that like button, hit the subscribe, get me to that 2,300 subscribers. And I'm going to put out an underdog short video too, so you get pick'em plays. So make sure to check that out, and I will see you guys in the comments.